Welcome to today's show. I wanted to make everybody aware of this. This happened a couple of days ago, but I was giving myself a breather before I made more content. But everybody needs to know about this because everything that you're about to hear from the Department of Homeland Security, which is another scam organization that's really just here to gather information and turn on the citizens, like all of them are, all these three-letter organizations, the CIA, the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, the CDC, and the FDA, and the list can go on and on and on. The World Economic Forum, name it, right? Well, they issued an alert after what happened in Uvalde, Texas, by Alejandro Mayorkas, which if you haven't seen this douchebag, this guy might be the biggest fraud out there today. This guy will get your blood boiling. He is such a fool and such a bad actor, but he showed up as all these politicians had the time to show up to Uvalde to grieve with the families, of course. This is how their mind control operation works. And they're preparing people for another false flag, a big false flag. This is going to continue. There are going to be more events that occur, and the narrative is going to turn more to mental health, and they're going to abuse people and label them as conspiracy theorists. Now, they could even try to use someone like me. They could do a deep fake. They have the technology to do whatever they want at this point. What they don't have the ability to do is persuade people who aren't fools. There's a good majority of people who see through their bullcrap. There's some who see through the government bullcrap, but actually still believe these events that occur and don't realize that the only way the government can get what they want is by creating events. Otherwise, they can't turn the people on one another, they can't grab people's guns, and they can't pretty much do what they want, which eventually is to control you every way possible, literally be inside of you, as sick and disgusting as that sounds. This is right from the Department of Homeland Security's website. Get a load of this. Today, Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas issued a National Terrorism Advisory System bulletin regarding the continued heightened threat environment across the United States. This is the sixth NTAS bulletin issued by the Department of Homeland Security since January 2021. And it replaces the current bulletin that was set to expire at 2 p.m. today. So they want the threat to constantly be domestic terrorism. And people still aren't waking up to the fact that why didn't this exist before now? They don't realize that they're being worked, 100% worked. Years past, was there ever talk of civil war in the 80s or 90s or 2000 when they were looking for the boogeyman in Afghanistan? No. The only reason people think that it's here is because they created it. Even in reality, the sides that don't like one another really don't care that much about what the other person's doing. But what they're doing is they're pushing the LGBT into schools, and they're getting people riled up on purpose. And then they're flipping it the other way, and they're calling them bigots and all this other crap. And everybody's getting worked over and over by these people. And the events that are going to occur are going to be by your own government. And I'm telling you right now, because look, I know there's trolls that listen, there's people who hate me that listen. You're getting worked. And there's going to be a point when this all goes down, and you're going to think that Big Brother has your best interest at heart, and they're going to take away your goodies. This whole utopian society that you think they're going to create does not exist, and it will never exist in humanity. It'll be a controlled society. They may call it utopian, but it'll be fully controlled. You will not find happiness in it. The only reason you won't hear nonsense like this over and over is because once it's in place, they're not going to brain feed it to you over and over, day in and day out, everywhere you turn. The media is not going to be doing that anymore. They're going to be telling you what a wonderful world it is. All the stories are going to go from bad to good, but they need to gain control first. But you're going to realize when that happens, while you won't be hearing all this stuff that's stressing you out and wearing you down, which is what they're doing, which is how psychological operations work. They wear you the F down. That's what they do. They smoke you out with exhaustion. I've said it before. It's like you've seen the scenes in movies with terrorism or terrorists or somebody they're trying to get information out of and what they do to them, right? And they just beat them to death over and over and torture them until they cave. They eventually cave from exhaustion. They can't put up a fight anymore. And that's what they expect to do here. They're mentally exhausting everyone. You have the president going on TV talking about mental health. Matthew McConaughey, mental health. All the celebrities are now pushing mental health. Again, it's to take down people like me and you from being owners of guns It's to take down people like me and you from having free speech. But eventually, this mental health thing is going to blow up in their faces because all these people that they think are on the right side of what they're doing are going to realize that these people don't care about them. These people worship the devil, and the devil has been a liar from the beginning. And these people are nothing but liars. And their time is so short, they are panicking so much that they can't even focus on doing stuff overseas in Afghanistan or anywhere else. They have to focus here because they are fearful that their mind control is not working on people. And clearly it's not. But when they do events like Uvalde, what happens is some people who are awake get pulled in emotionally because it's this horrible sounding situation. Kids are involved. It's a situation, I just mentioned it like a month ago, and we had 2 events since then. I said that, look, all these things that are going to keep happening are going to be at places where you go. That way, mentally, you can relate, right? If this happened in an underground cave, you wouldn't care. But it happens at the grocery. Everybody goes to the grocery. It happens at a school. You went to school. Your kids go to school or may go to school, right? Hospitals, places like that. You'll hear more of these types of things. I wouldn't be surprised I'm shocked they didn't do one during the outbreak at a hospital, but maybe they didn't have the ability to clear out the hospital and put the operation in. I mean, usually they find like empty schools and they do it there. They find empty hospitals or groceries, or when they're on quarantine or shutdown, they do it there, or during closed hours, right? So this is Alejandro. He says, as recent acts of violence in communities across the country have so tragically demonstrated, the nation remains in a heightened threat environment, and we expect the environment will become more dynamic in the coming months. How do people not realize why it's like that? Both sides, left and right, that it's these people who are doing it to you. This small group of people are just working you. They're mind raping you. That's what it is. Otherwise, in everyone's day-to-day life, they are not around these types of things. And I hear people, they're like, well, I'm around it. I see racism every day. Do you? Oh, do you? You might know somebody who's a scumbag racist. You might know somebody who's a scumbag in general, a bigot or whatever. Nobody's going to the grocery store and calling someone, the N-word or, another word that starts with F and ends with G to their face. They're going about their business, but they don't want you to think that's what's occurring in the world. So they want you to envision this nightmare going on around us. Then they can blame anyone they want who is what they'll call anti-government. When people like me, I'm not even anti-government. I'm anti-Satan is what I am. I'm anti-Satanist scumbags, which is what these people are. This isn't a government that's in place. This is Freemasonic, satanic scumbags who have maneuvered their way to the top. All this stuff is obviously being controlled by the cabal and other places like the Vatican. We all know this. They pull the strings. But all these puppeteers have gotten in positions. They've been put there really through the Ivy League schools that we were told, wow, that person goes to Harvard. They must be the smartest person ever and be wonderful. They get in because they're in the club. And their parents groom them and get them in the club. You've heard that before, right? Oh, my dad gave me a recommendation letter to Harvard. Oh, wow. Because he went there, right? Yeah. Oh, but doesn't your grades and stuff matter? Oh, well, yeah, I'm a pretty decent student. Oh, right. And then you're in a secret society there. They groom you and they stick you in these positions and tell you what your role is going to be. And that's what all these people are. And then they come out and they're like, we're a government. We're a democracy. They're neither. None of this is a democracy. None of this is a republic. It's a charade. It's actors pretending to be a government is what it is. So he says the Department of Homeland Security remains steadfast in our commitment to provide timely information and resources to the American public. Oh, bullshit. Excuse me. And our parents across every level of government, in law enforcement, and in the private sector. This includes regular engagements with stakeholders to maintain awareness about the threat environment. And remember, stakeholders is another trigger term that they're using. This is what the World Economic Forum has pushed, the word stakeholders. That is a globalist term. That means you're a stakeholder in everything. You're a stakeholder in your local store. You're a stakeholder in your community. You're a stakeholder in somebody else's kid's life. That's what this is leading towards. So stakeholders, when you hear it, realize they're using that term. And people are like, stakeholders, like Wall Street, huh? No, not quite. You want someone owning your own child? Do you want your neighbor who's a flamer telling your Christian child how to live? No, but they'll have a right to do that because we already know that they've openly talked about this stuff. So This gets better. In the coming months, DHS expects the threat environment to become more dynamic as several high-profile events could be exploited to justify acts of violence against a range of possible targets. So this just means they have a plethora of false flags planned out. That's what that means. Oh, we're just letting you know that we expect it so you can mentally expect it to happen. So then when it happens, you won't call BS on it because we warned you, we told you. Meanwhile, nobody's looking at our own government organizations, even the DHS, and the NSA, which I forgot to mention earlier, who literally plan these things with the CIA and the Black Ops. And people are like, what do the Black Ops do? Oh, you think they're in a cave in Afghanistan? They've been researching you, studying you, watching you, listening to you, your every move, labeling people they think are going to literally uprise and do something to make sure they can get this across. They don't want people like me out there, not because I'm going to go and uprise, just because of the fact that I can wake people up with my voice, that people listen and they go, oh, I didn't think of it, or oh, that makes sense. I'm not the best at it. I'm not even great at it. But that's why I'm a threat to them. They could easily pin something on me or pin something on you or whoever they deem, when in reality, I would never commit any type of act of violence. I want to be left alone. That's all I ask. And these people will not leave us alone. They want control of us. They want to get things inside of our body. We all know what's going on and what's been going on. Now, here's a sentence that's worth cracking up at. Well, they say these events could include public gatherings, faith-based institutions, which is another place we constantly see the events, right? Churches, synagogues specifically, they love to do. I wonder why. Schools, racial, ethnic, and religious minorities, government facilities and personnel, U.S. critical infrastructure, the media, and perceived ideological opponents. So keep in mind the term media in there. That would be a very easy one for them to fake, is to do something at CNN, right? The ratings are in the tank, which means people aren't buying the propaganda. And oh my gosh, that'll get them more ratings. And one of these guys will get shipped to Israel. One of these guys will get shipped to Bagelville. We'll never see him again. They'll probably change his, do a little plastic surgery on him and he'll go live his life. Why not? Why would that surprise them? Look what they're doing because of the media. These right wing. It has to be left and right. It has to be that for this to work for them. They have taken what once was left and right. One leans a little bit this way, one leans a little bit that way, to making it extreme on both sides. And really the extreme side's the liberal side, because these people are lunatics. Literally lunatics. But they're trying to envision it, everyone, to see it and think it's the Republican side. So whichever way they start this chaos with an event, at a liberal event, an LGBT event could be something that they create. Who knows? They already have it planned, so they know, but we'll only watch and see. So this is another term that's funny in here. Threat actors. Does anyone know when the term actors came into play? Is that because they were trying to replace the word crisis in front of the word actor? Because ever since that whole thing was happening where we were all talking about it over and over, and literally if you tagged a video with it, you were gone. Your video got taken down at least, and you got a strike. Now we literally openly call these people actors, threat actors. Nobody sees this stuff except us. So threat actors have recently mobilized to violence due to factors such as personal grievances, reactions to current events, and adherence to violent extremist ideologies, including rationally or ethnically motivated or anti-government, anti-authority, violent extremism. So one of the things, too, you have to keep in mind is the fact that the media doesn't cover the stuff, like the Black Lives Matter stuff. Obviously, it's on purpose. It doesn't have to do with politics. It makes the people on the right insane because they see it and they go, why are they covering January 6th a million times and they're not covering all the chaos that Black Lives Matter stuff? Because they know it's driving you nuts. That's why. Because they're trying to make you irate and they're trying to cause an event around actual civilians, because that's their wet dream, is that they can get real civilians to go out and do these things so they don't have to make them up themselves. And could they end up doing it? Doubtful. But they could put a plan in who leads something, and then regular civilians would follow. That's something they probably could do to blame me for something, for crying out loud. Because that's how this whole thing works. So the DHS has come out there working with the FBI, which just tells you it's really credible. They're really credible to continue to share timely and actionable information and intelligence with the broadcast audience. So my last question would be, what does the FBI do all day, right? And then why do we always hear stories in the past? This was like 20 years ago. We'd hear a story about somebody posted something on Facebook about the president or so-and-so, and they just got arrested for posting it, and everybody would get irate about it. So in 20 years, really, let's say 15, 10 years, we went from that to we have these actual shooters online posting, and the FBI doesn't intervene, the CIA doesn't intervene. Why not? They didn't see that guy supposedly tweet all this stuff or say all this stuff in chat rooms. I'm pretty sure the NSA is monitoring that. Oh, right. But nobody thinks that far. They just think, ooh, the FBI. They think the CIA. They're like, oh, wasn't The Rock in that movie, the CIA? Oh, wow. That's impressive that you're in the CIA or the FBI. Is it? Takes no qualifications. You get in if you're in the Brotherhood. They position you in there. Go to your Ivy League school. They'll put you in place. Okay? None of these people are smarter or better than any of us. They never have been. They never will be. Everything you were told when you were young is a total lie. Everything about, working hard and doing this and you'll get there was always a lie. It was always the mouse in a wheel. You just keep chasing something you can't get. You know how many people chase trying to be celebrities? And they could have been extremely talented people. They chased it because shows like American Idol told them they could be a next singer. They were great at karaoke.